Peace. What's the 441 family? What is happening? Y'all tap in, come on in, shut the door, let's explore. What's the 441? Who all in here be the one? Peace, y'all. We tapping in on download number 2, sexual intel. Trigger warnings involved because we're going to talk about toxic sexual behaviors. We're going to talk about divine sexual behaviors. We're going to get into understandings of how sexual intel come about, because the last episode we built on portals and downloads. So the portals and downloads gave us a little bird's eye view of how we deal with our chakra base and how we maintain our aura. You know what I'm saying? So this episode I want to tap into the sexual side of things, because when you become sexual, you involve another being, another soul, another spirit, and you attach your soul and spirit to theirs, and you are ultimately trying to create. So we're going to get into it, man. Let's get in the next slide, or first slide. Sexual intel. How and why does information pass through sexual intercourse? How and why protect your sexual energy? What is toxic sexual behavior? What is divine sexual behavior? All those we're going to answer in this episode. So, we are electrical beings with dynamic auras. We have body parts that connect each other to the opposite. And there's information that travels in and out for many different reasons, but our energy never dies. So the possession and the transgressions of energy is important to always understand. You know what I'm saying? Because when we deal with energy and energetic beings, our signatures never die. They just transfer. They sometimes transmutate, and oftentimes they just translate over to the next body or being. Next slide. Female and male. So if we get back into electrical housing, because we all live in the house, most of us live in homes, but you have outlets, and outlets, you plug the socket into the outlet. And for layman's terms, you have the socket or the outlet being the female. The female end plugs into the socket, or is the plug. I'm sorry, I said that wrong. The female end is the socket, and you put the plug in. But if you notice, the electrical connection allows the plug to be electrically charged and ready to be in use whenever the plug decides to engage. Natural source is already connected to that socket. It's up to the male end to gain access through that female. And this is pretty much similar and very, very familiar when it comes to male and female, because when males connect to a female, we have a certain intel that we download from a female, because we do not have the same connection to earth as man does, because we have different jobs. If you pay attention to the plug is usually charging and plugging up the TV. Playing the TV or playing the microwave, or it's playing something. So it takes that energy from the female socket and it translates into physical energy that can utilize something physically. That's pretty much how female and male parts are designed. They have a design by nature, and to operate these objects, you will want to align yourself naturally. Next slide. So sex is sacred, and we have been taught sex is for pleasure only. But sex is beyond pleasure and ultimately a sacred act. But let's read this little meme I found online from from the spiritual alliance. When people have sex, they exchange energies. This means that negative energies like emotional trauma can be passed around. And if we want to protect our bodies, emotions, and energy, we are being advised to be responsible with our sexual activities and partner. Ask ourselves, is there a mental or spiritual connection, or is it a sex for pleasure? Practicing a spiritual and soulful approach. So, in so many words, we want to remember that we are committing a sacred act, and we want to maintain control over that act, because if we gain negative intel or if we have trauma that we pass on, it creates a delusion and a discord in the physical. Next slide. So natural succession is typically explaining how the woman is a nurturer and she is intuitively always knowing what one needs to survive. And that is mainly because her connection to source, she is the moon side of things, and she is the reflection for the man. The man is the larger being, and they lead and protect, just like the sun. So the connections are near the sexual organs, which are near the root and the sacral chakra. And those chakras connect throughout, and they should connect from both roots and allow that energy to travel up the chakra body all the way up to the pineal, so that you can crown each other crowns, and that creates a whole. Man plus the woman is the whole, and that is the total succession, the natural succession. The only way that you can to reach that God level is to have the woman have, the man have, in total alignment with natural order, so the chakras will be completely open, allowing those energies to gather at the root, build from there, and shoot all the way up to the 33rd parallel where they crown. So that's natural succession. Next slide. Divine entanglement. So I found a few of these online, but this one on the left, the battery effect, this is interesting because it's kind of explaining what I was just saying, how the chakras all allow each other to manifest energy and flow freely throughout the chakra body. So it says, when two people have sex with adoration and love, the heart opens and the energy between both of them give and receive. This transfer of energy can transmute emotional trauma, unlock information within your DEA, align you with your higher self, and bring pleasure all at the same time. So that's pretty much what the battery effect is. You're looking for the energy to build. So let's talk about that real quick. Kind of like a transformer. Now, you know how to, outside of your house, you had a big old green box and it's humming like all day, all night. That's pretty much the transformer, which takes the energy in a very, very large quantity and it steps it down to its level so that it can distribute it to each of its buildings. So when you endure a sacred act such as sex, you want to allow the energy to build in a kind of like a symphony type of basis. Like, you know how a song builds and then it continues and gets louder and more instruments build and gather. So you'll start out light, and tantric positions are what enable this. Tantric positions are like you sitting in a yoga position, you and your spouse or you and your partner, and you allow that energy to navigate around your aura, to penetrate the aura, to meld each other's auras into one, and that energy starts to create a buzzing effect, and the buzzing effect gets very, very strong, and now that your auras are and your senses are on 10 because they are looking and seeking for intel. It's trying to download intel from that being. So souls and spirits are transgressing through pores, but then when you physically have sex, the secretions and such parts, they all allow you to connect the chakra body together, thus creating that energy, transfer of energy. So you're taking energy, she's taking energy, vice versa. And you have the effect of like the transformer outside, like a whole lot of humming, a whole lot of heightened senses, because everything is trying to download and compute all at once. And it's a very exonerating feeling. It's like a God level, because you have so much energy. You kind of like overloaded with the energy, and your what do I want to say? Your senses are kind of like flooding. So we want to remember, when we're having sex, we're attempting to achieve alchemy. And alchemy is pretty much creating. We want to create. That's the key when you're having sex, metaphysically and physically. If you think about the physical aspect, you look at your son and your daughter being born, that's what you get out of sex. You have a DEA and a DNA connected on one bloodline, the other bloodline, they both mix, and they create a brand new being that has a basis of each other's previous downloads, and now it's a hybrid version offspring of those parents. On the right, this is a real cool piece of art from Les Espirits Libres. They're on Instagram, but you can follow them. They have great sacred sexual art pictures that describe a divine or a divinity, if you will, between man and woman. Divine sexual secretions from the womb can heal a man. So it's pretty much the same deal as the battery effect. If you have a divine woman that is connected to source, and her source is pure, she can edify a being, a man, just by him receiving the sexual secretions. So it's pretty profound. That's a metaphysical topic, and we can dig deeper into that on another time. But next slide. Okay, gay pride, and is this toxic behavior? It's just a question mark, because I don't want to be a bully, or I don't want to be picking on anybody when I speak about this topic. I just want to be scientifically correct, because I know love is love, but do we want to maintain a cap on our love, or do we want to have a divine order when we speak about love? Because when I look at gay pride, I see a cap being put on the way that we are able to sexually create. So that's like putting a cap on your magic powers. You know what I'm saying? And if you ask me, the proof can be in the pudding, because you have, these days, you have strategic placements of gay lifestyle placed on TV to propagate the way said people should live out here in the world, thus creating even further unnatural succession. And I just want to build on it, and I want to keep the misunderstanding out of it. So I don't want to talk about it on a social standpoint or a scientific standpoint. I want to give it more of a did I say scientific? I want to give it a scientific basis. I want to be a little more appropriate, because we want to be naturally succeeded in the way that we do everything. Everything should format in the way natural succession goes. So same-sex relations go against natural succession of natural law. Generally, it's only built on pleasure. And I think gay pride lacks the depth of creation for its future sustainability, because where do you find new life if if everybody likes the same sex? I don't know what else to say, man. I have plenty of people in my family that are gay, an uncle, an aunt, and a sister. I love them all. I love all people, gay, straight, whatever. But I really want to get an understanding on these lifestyles, because personally, just witnessing these lifestyles, I never see anything manifest out of them. I see a cap on life, and I see judgment casted upon one another. Just kind of making for a bad aura. Because if new life cannot be built inside such a dynamic, the dynamic created between woman plus woman will result in system overrides, because like I said, the woman is connected to source, and the source can have, each woman should typically have one source. It's kind of like the iPhone having a download, and then Android having a download. It's like both of those phones mixing systems. So now when you have two women drinking each other's sacraments, the system becomes corrupt and is compromised at that point, because you're not able to fully operate in your divine feminine system. You have another divine feminine trying to compete with your own feminine. So at best you can create an attachment with this person, and there can be love, but it can't be a full trifecta, because there's no way that new life can physically grow out of it. So metaphysically speaking, new possibilities are capped into negative possibilities. Man plus man will expose his urethra to rectum secretions, and physically that is a complete disaster. And we can just understand metaphysically that can corrupt intel as well, because it lacks natural succession. These engagements lack natural succession. And I'm very, very interested in to knowing what most people have to say about these things. And I don't want to be into an argument. I'm really curious to know, because maybe I could learn something new that I don't. But today, right now, we're here. And I ultimately believe that these behaviors are toxic, because they only provide a pleasure aspect. And the pleasure aspect is only one set of senses. You have spiritual aspect, and then you also have the mental aspect. So you gotta wonder, how is spirit being affected from your physical actions? And that's only for you to deal with. But ultimately, if everyone becomes gay, we have an even bigger problem, because no one will be created again. Next slide. So toxic versus divine alignment. The exchange of information is what happens during sexual acts, right? So subtle effects begin to show over time as connections become attachments. And one will think more like the other as compatible intel build a divine connection, and each other can mix their with each other's space. And a lot of times you'll see how when you have a connection, you'll know what the other person is thinking. And that's just metaphysics, simple metaphysics, physics, because you're connecting with that being. Okay, toxic versus divine alignment. The energy is, if the energy is toxic, one may fight often, and life is problematic because alignment between each other is imperative to maintain natural balance. So if you're not able to maintain that natural balance, you'll see the toxicity invade your aura, and it will create a corruption of natural succession, and the natural succession will be ruined because you have corrupt data between two energies and two people. So whether this is male on male, male on female, female on female, you want to remember that your sexual intel is sacred, and you want to only give it out to who you want to connect with on a God level, not just a fling basis, and not just a level where you're just throwing away your sexual parts for a few dollars, or different things like that, because that can have a heavy effect on the spiritual, and you'll see the physical become affected and ill and sick. Just look at like porn stars, older porn stars like Pinky. She's like real fat, like she has like that fibroids issue, and it's all a spiritual issue. So thank y'all for tapping in. Like, share, subscribe, comment, send me some information on what y'all think about this, and we can build. I don't want to be one-sided on the topic, but I did want to put visuals together so that you can see what I'm thinking a little bit better than me just looking at the screen and y'all looking at me ramble and talk. So if y'all like me talking to the screen, let me know. If y'all like the PowerPoints, let me know. Until then, peace and blessings. It's a beautiful, beautiful time to look inside of you. 100. Okay, welcome to the 33rd universe episodes. We about to kick it with my partners and my folks, so close the door. If you hungry for some knowledge, yeah, you got it, here we go. For my leaders and my queens, we building on Astro. Yo, watch out for the trap, though we riding down 33rd. She said, what's the word, bro? We finna build riches, plant some seeds in the dirt, folk. Cultivate, just looking, wait, return, be all good, Joe. That's my son. Thinking proper, hey, can't stop you. We living like a god, evading all facades. Aquarius on Manhattan, all the barring on the rise. We building enterprise. Yo, shout to all my guys who have a more dream. We shaking up the skies. Oh, don't be surprised that galaxy stars all relying. Now we on a magic carpet and we taking flight. I'm Aladdin with my genie and my jasmine. We just fine, mushroom high, we out of sight. Rainbow portals got it light. Space stage, we forever don't do nothing out of spite. Intuition stay on high. Chakra body, yeah, that's light. DEA illuminated, look me in my third eye. Shut the front door, let's explore. What's the 441? Who all in here be the one? Shut the front door, let's explore. What's the 441? Who all in here be the one? Yo, shut the front door, let's explore. What's the 441? Who all in here be the one? Shut the door, we dreaming more. What's the 441? Who all in here be the one?